Okay, so we're reviewing for our test tomorrow over section 9.5 through 9.8. This will include distance formula, midpoint, slope, special right triangles, and our trig ratios. All right, so everything that you saw, trig ratios, sine, cosine, tangent. All right, so everything that you saw on your quiz yesterday, on your review sheet last night, will be on your test. No surprises. That's what it's going to be. All right, so you've got it. Now, there are some still issues with, formulas, for example. I think that there's been just some misunderstanding on what work I'm asking you to show. All right, some of you guys are not showing your work. And you say, well, I'm using my calculator. And my response to that is your calculator does the calculations. It does not replace your need to show work. You still must show your steps on paper. Okay, do you see the difference? So calculators do the calculations, but they don't replace your need for showing work on your test. All right, so let's get into number 1, using distance formula to find the distance between the points. Okay, so use the given ordered pairs to find the distance between these 2 points. So use your distance formula. Here's what I mean, okay, going back to showing work. I want to see the original formula. No substitutions. I want to see the original formula underneath this problem. It's about 50-50 as far as students showing this and not showing it on the quiz. And there's also a pretty big difference. The students who did show all their steps were much more likely to get the correct answer than the students who skipped steps. Don't you see a pretty strong connection there? All right, so when you skip steps, it leaves you open to make more mistakes. And we see the evidence of that in your grades. So show your steps. It will help. All right, so formula for distance. Here we go. D equals square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. All right, so if you even had a little glitch in your formula, you're going to get the wrong answer. So you've got to know the formula. Now we just make our substitutions into the formula. And you show that. You have to show your substitutions into the formula. All right, substitutions. Here we go. 3 minus negative 12. And I like to write it like this because it's like right there visually. I can obviously see that there's a double negative. 3 minus negative 12 squared. So what happens to my double negative? It becomes a positive. Change it right there. On your paper, in your work, change it. Don't do it in your head, mental math. Physically change it on your paper. Okay, now plus y2 minus y1. Look there. We have another double negative. These double negatives are really easy to miss if you're not showing your work. Clearly see the double negative, change it to a positive. Now, at this point, we've shown our substitutions. You can put this in your calculator and generate an answer. However, I will warn you that this is a lot of buttons that you're hitting to get to a correct answer. My suggestion is to simplify it more. We can add 3 plus 12 in our head, can we not? Go ahead and simplify it a little bit more before you put it in your calculator. What does that do? It basically helps reduce the chance of making a calculation mistake when I'm punching in my buttons. Now, 15 squared plus 19 squared. I can just put that in my calculator, and what do I get? Square root of 586. And we just leave it, okay? Very rarely will this work out to be a whole number. Very rarely. Okay, most of the time my answer will be under some type of radical, whether there's a number on the outside, maybe not, but there will be a radical involved in my answer. That's no problem at all. All right, any questions here? Anything? No questions. We good? All right, now let's find the midpoint. All right, I am going to erase this slide because that's actually one from your quiz. I don't want to do one from your quiz. That wouldn't be right? You've got to do that one yourself. All right, so let's find the midpoint between these points, negative 5 and 6, and 3 and 8. All right, I want you to find the midpoint between these 2 points. Again, formula, substitutions, boxed answer. We can use our calculator, but that does not replace the need for showing those steps. Say the formula with me. Equals x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. And why do I put parentheses around the entire thing? Because the answer is an ordered pair. So that's why there's parentheses around it. Essentially what I'm doing here is I'm adding my x values and dividing by 2 and adding my y values and dividing by 2. So here we go. M equals x1, which is negative 5, plus x2 over 2, and 6 plus 8 over 2. All right, again, separated by commas, inside parentheses, and now you can just put this in your calculator, each fraction individually, or you can do it mental math. Negative 5 plus 3 is what? Negative 2. So M equals, what's negative 2 divided by 2? Negative 1. And 6 plus 8 is 14. 14 divided by 2. And there's my midpoint. Negative 1, 7, and it's in parentheses because it's an ordered pair. I had some people not include parentheses. Technically, it's not an ordered pair. Not sure where the interruption was, but you would lose points on your test if you did not include the parentheses around the answer. All right, so that's midpoint. Now let's do slope. All right, find the slope of the given points. Okay, here we go. So say the formula with me. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Pretty simple formula. We just have to watch out for any double negatives. So 0 minus negative 3. There we go. Right off the bat, there's a double negative. Over 1 minus 9. Double negative changes to what? Positive. And then it's going to be 3 over 8. But it's going to be negative 8 because 1 minus 9 obviously is negative 8. Our run is never negative. Our rise is negative. So the negative either goes in front of the fraction or in our numerator. Questions here? Negative 3/8. Okay, so here we go. That was slope. All right, now I have a 45, 45, 90-degree triangle. Given the side dimension that is shown here, find the value of x and the value of y. All right, so what's my x value? 4. Because I know that the legs of a 45, 45, 90 are the same value. If one is 4, the other one's 4. All right, so x is 4, and then what about y? 4 square root of 2. All right, what if I had this triangle? All right, now find x and y. Pretty simple, I hope. Okay, so which side do I know? Which side do I know? Hypotenuse. So since I know hypotenuse, which side do I find next? Short leg. Y equals 9. X equals 9 square root of 3. All right, now I've got my trig ratios. Okay, so this part, yes, is going to involve some work being shown. Okay, you've got to show some work here. Go ahead and find the unknown side length. Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a degree. All right, so we go tangent of 34. Did you figure out tangent too? It's tangent because you know the opposite and adjacent. All right, so tangent 34 equals x over 18. I think this is what you're asking, Eric. So what do we multiply both sides by? 18. Well, what I want you to do is I want you to do this whole calculation in one. Don't clear your screen. So find tangent of 34 and leave that on your screen and then multiply, by 18. All right, tangent 34, multiply by 18, and what do you get when you round to the nearest tenth? 12.1. 12.1. Eric, did you get that? 12.1?
But when you get to the part where it's like on 1, 4, 1, 1,
Right.
where do you go out to round off?
Tenth. It says round your answer to the nearest tenth.
No, I didn't know, like, where do you go off to, like, round off?
To the tenth, you go to the very next digit. It's a 4. So the 4 keeps the 1 the same. Good to go. Don't worry about any of the other digits. All right, so now what's the next one? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Sine of 44. Multiply both by the reciprocal. Round to the nearest tenth. And you get 16.7. Now, I think everybody would agree that these are pretty simple, right? As long as we're in the correct mode. Just literally tangent 22, and how many decimal places do we go out? 4. So 0.4040. Sine 86, and I'm just going to put these answers up. Are we all good here? Yeah. Sine 86, we go out 4 decimal places. We just have to round correctly. Now, I had several questions on the last section as to why you got an answer wrong. Remember, when we're doing the inverse sine, we're starting with the ratio of the side lengths, and what are we finding? What are we finding? What is our answer? An angle measure. So an angle measure would have what label? A degree symbol. So inverse sine of 11 over 12 is 66.4 degrees. That degree symbol is probably why most of you got half credit. So you rounded correctly. That wasn't the issue. The issue was in the label. The degree sign is everything, because without it, it's not an angle measure to your reader. If your reader is reading that, it is not an angle measure without the degree sign. So, you just missed 2 points on it. That's what you do different on your corrections, and make sure you do it that way on your test, and you should be good to go. If you understand that, that's everything you need to know for your test tomorrow.